Tonight, we're following several developing stories, security concerns, and a warning to Jewish students on the eve of Passover, the April freeze that could impact millions, and more turmoil in Congress, why the House Speaker's job may once again be on the line. First, the NYPD is ramping up security ahead of Passover, cautioning that Jewish people and institutions are possible targets. And now a prominent rabbi at Columbia University is advising Jewish students to stay off campus because of what he calls extreme anti-Semitism. The university largely on lockdown amid growing pro-Palestinian protests. 65 million Americans in 20 states are under freeze warnings tonight. Farmers keeping a close eye on their crops. The big change on the horizon after this April freeze. Our weather team times it all out. House Speaker Mike Johnson faces yet another battle to keep his job after the House approved new aid to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. Some Republicans are vowing to trigger a vote to remove Johnson, while others are calling him a profile in courage. And with America's adversaries monitoring all this very closely, will Democrats come to Johnson's rescue? What's next for TikTok? That House vote calls for the social media giant to be sold to an American company or face a possible ban. Will the Senate do the same? The Chinese government and the company both weighing in. And a reality check. Would Congress really ban an app used by 170 million Americans? Tragedy in Michigan. A car crashes into a building right into a birthday party. A 5-year-old boy and his 8-year-old sister both killed. The female driver taken into custody, accused of driving while intoxicated. A Chicago police officer is killed, shot multiple times while on his way home from work. The procession by fellow officers and what we're learning about the investigation. Bystanders spring into action, their heroic effort risking their own lives to rescue a driver from a burning car. Country star Morgan Wallen apologizes after being hit with felony charges for throwing a chair from the roof of a 6-story building, narrowly missing police officers. And as we observe Earth Day, we honor the volunteers dedicated to cleaning up the Great Lakes.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on this Sunday. I'm Lindsay Davis. As we come on the air, New York authorities are issuing a warning ahead of Passover. Officials say the holiday, which begins tomorrow, may serve as a catalyst for extremist groups and individuals to commit acts of violence against Jewish faith-based communities. This comes as tensions are rising at Columbia University here in New York over the Israel-Hamas war. More than 100 people have been arrested in recent days. A rabbi at the school confirms to ABC News that he strongly recommended to Jewish students that they go home and not return to campus because of what he called extreme anti-Semitism at the school. A New York congresswoman is calling for the university's president to resign. New York's mayor says he's horrified and disgusted by the anti-Semitism. And tonight, the White House is condemning calls for violence against Jewish students. ABC's Rena Roy leads us off.
Tonight, the NYPD issuing an alarming warning on the eve of Passover, saying in a bulletin obtained by ABC News that extremist groups may view the holiday as an opportunity to perpetrate acts of violence or intimidation against Jewish faith-based communities. Though the document cites no specific threats, it adds Jewish people and institutions continue to be the target of violent attacks, targeted harassment, hate crimes, and threats, especially since the onset of the Israel-Hamas war. It comes after a rabbi associated with New York City's Columbia University told Jewish students to go home this week following pro-Palestinian demonstrations on campus. Writing today in an email, Columbia University's public safety and the NYPD cannot guarantee Jewish students' safety. Those protests began after the school's president was grilled on Capitol Hill about anti-Semitism on campus.
There's evidence of anti-Semitism among professors on your faculty?
We have seen some cases, and there have been consequences.
More than 100 demonstrators arrested on campus Thursday. The White House saying the Department of Education has launched an investigation into the incident.
When students are subject to hostile environments because of their faith or ethnicity, schools must act. Students must be safe to learn.
And Lindsay, tonight Columbia is responding, saying that they are listening to the concerns of Jewish students and providing additional support, adding that students have a right to protest but not to disrupt campus life or intimidate others. Lindsay?
And students at several universities are now planning rallies in solidarity with Columbia protesters. Rena, thank you. More than 65 million people across 20 states are under freeze and frost alerts tonight. Temperatures in some places feel more like February than late April. ABC meteorologist Samara Theodore joins us now. Samara, how long is this cold snap expected to last?
Well, the worst of the cold snap, Lindsay, is hitting those in the Midwest tonight. Take a look. This map showing the frost advisory in place for states like Ohio, Michigan, down into Tennessee, and we even have a freeze warning for parts of central Pennsylvania, waking up to temperatures tomorrow in the 20s and 30s. Meanwhile, a different story farther west, where we saw snow in Denver recently. We're looking at a quick warm-up. Temperatures Monday in the upper 70s, by Wednesday nearing 80 degrees. And a lot of this heat helping to fuel those storms that we're anticipating at the end of the week. Lindsay?
Looking forward to those near 80-degree days. Samara, thank you. Tonight, 24 hours after the House passed that massive foreign aid package, the fate of Speaker Mike Johnson remains uncertain. 3 Republicans have come out in favor of a motion to vacate the Speaker over his support of the $95 billion measure, which includes assistance for Ukraine. Johnson now needs Democrats to help him keep his job. ABC's Jay O'Brien reports in tonight from Capitol Hill.
Tonight, Mike Johnson's future as Speaker of the House in jeopardy. Hardline members of his own party dedicated to ousting him after just 6 months on the job.
Mike Johnson's speakership is over.
After the dramatic Saturday vote where Democrats helped the Speaker pass $95 billion in aid, including long-stalled assistance for Ukraine and Israel. Johnson telling me he's not going anywhere.
Do you believe you will still be the Speaker come November?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely, without question.
Yes.
2 other Republicans now joining Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene in her campaign to topple the Speaker.
The House is in chaos. Part of the reason we're doing this is to get us back out of chaos.
Foreign Affairs Committee Chair Michael McCall saying the Speaker told confidants he wanted to be on the right side of history.
I think the respect for him has gone way up, because he did the right thing irrespective of his job.
Far-right Republicans angry the Speaker didn't focus instead on passing strict border security legislation. But those same GOP lawmakers rejecting a bipartisan border bill from the Senate 2 months ago at the direction of former President Donald Trump. In a rare move, moderate Democrats praising the Republican Speaker.
I frankly do not believe his speakership is at risk.
But progressive Democrats not jumping at the chance to save the embattled conservative Speaker.
Doing the decent thing as allies and friends of various nations and countries, that's just doing the bare minimum.
And Lindsay, Congresswoman Greene hasn't even fully committed to calling for a vote to oust Johnson, saying she instead wants him to resign. But the Speaker has been clear he won't. Lindsay?
Johnson sounds confident. Jay, thank you. A potential TikTok ban is part of that legislation the Senate is expected to take up on Tuesday. Let's bring in ABC's Mary Alice Parks, who joins us now at the White House. Mary Alice, what happens to the foreign aid package if TikTok were to be taken out?
Yeah, Lindsay, stripping TikTok out of this package could force part of the legislation back to the House to start this process all over. Now, the latest version gives ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, a year to sell instead of 6 months. After that time, it could face a ban in the U.S. And some key Democrats, like Senate Commerce Committee Chair Maria Cantwell, say that with those changes, they now back it. Now, TikTok boasts of nearly 170 million users in the U.S., some writing into the White House, seen protesting against any potential ban. But the White House staff told me Friday that President Biden would sign the bill if it reaches his desk, though they did push back on the idea of calling it simply a ban. And the expectation now is that the fight moves on to the courts. Opponents say that a bill like this is just unconstitutional. Those pushing it, Lindsay, say that TikTok is a national security threat that has to be addressed. Lindsay?
A lot of interest here. Mary Alice from the White House, thanks so much. Former President Trump is returning to a Manhattan courtroom tomorrow for opening statements in his hush money trial. Trump spent most of last week at the defense table as a jury of 12 plus 6 alternates were chosen. The presumptive Republican nominee is unable to campaign, but he's trying to use the trial to his political advantage. Here's ABC senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky.
Tonight, hours from opening statements in his historic criminal trial, former President Trump is facing the realities of being a criminal defendant. In an email to supporters, Trump complaining he is trapped in court where starting tomorrow he will have to sit silently while prosecutors set out to prove he falsified business records to keep a porn star's long-denied claim of an extramarital affair from damaging his electoral prospects. Among the early witnesses, former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker, who prosecutors say agreed to be the eyes and ears of Trump's 2016 campaign by identifying damaging stories about Trump and keeping them out of print. The jury of 7 men and 5 women was selected from a pool of 200 New Yorkers. There's a woman in product development who said she doesn't like Trump, and a retired wealth manager who said he has no strong opinion of Trump because he's more interested in his hobbies. Ahead of opening statements, Trump's allies today echoed his claim the trial is political.
I'm hoping that this judge makes the right decision. I'm hoping these jurors can come in and be unbiased, and we'll let this case go forward in a swift manner that allows President Trump to get back on the campaign trail. Americans deserve to hear from their candidates.
Aaron Katersky joins us now. Of course, trial set to begin tomorrow, expected to last about 6 weeks, give or take. Of course, Donald Trump has said that he plans to testify. How likely do you think that is?
Let's see what his lawyers think about that. And one of the deciding factors, Lindsay, may be how far prosecutors can go in their cross-examination. We're waiting for a judge's decision about that. Even if he doesn't testify, Trump needs to be in court every day the trial is in session. So that takes him off the campaign trail 4 days a week. He can speak in the hallway, as he often does, but once he's seated at the defense table, Trump is largely relegated to silence.
And of course, the defense wants some parameters if he is to take the witness
stand. Sure do.
All right. Aaron Katersky for us. Thanks so much. Authorities in Michigan are searching for answers after a horrific tragedy at a children's birthday party. A brother and sister just 5 and 8 years old died after a car driven by a woman suspected of being intoxicated slammed into the place where the party was being held. Here's ABC's Ike Jachi.
Tonight, a deadly tragedy allegedly involving an intoxicated driver in Michigan.
We have a black Escape that went through the building.
Authorities say a 66-year-old woman drove her car into a building during a children's birthday party at a boat club south of Detroit. This security footage capturing the horrifying final moments as the vehicle speeds past, causing a loud crash. 2 children dying at the scene.
An 8-year-old female and a 5-year-old male who are siblings of each other.
Multiple others hurt. 3 children and 6 adults rushed to the hospital with serious life-threatening injuries.
The scene was described by the first responders as extremely chaotic, with high level of emotions of those directly involved and those who witnessed this horrific incident.
The 66-year-old suspect, the sheriff says, cooperating at the scene, taken into custody for operating while intoxicated, causing death. Lindsay, authorities say the suspect may have been at a nearby tavern before the incident. Police say they've closed that establishment and were working on executing a search warrant. They add the suspect will likely face additional charges. Lindsay?
Our hearts are with that family. Ike, thank you. Tonight, police in Chicago are mourning the loss of one of their own. Authorities say an off-duty Chicago police officer, just 2 days shy of his 31st birthday, was gunned down as he headed home after his shift. Police are now searching for a suspect and a motive. Here's ABC's Zareen Shah.
Tonight, an urgent manhunt underway in Chicago after a police officer was gunned down on his way home from work.
Caller heard gunshots, looked outside and sees a male laying on the ground.
The city's mayor identifying the officer as 30-year-old Luis Huesca. Police say the 6-year veteran was shot multiple times just before 3 a.m. First responders rushing him to the hospital where he was pronounced dead.
These are senseless crimes that are taking the lives of our community members.
Officers saluting Huesca as a procession took his body to the medical examiner's office. As of last Friday, there have been 645 shooting victims, including fatal and non-fatal incidents in the city so far this year, roughly the same number as during the same period last year. And Lindsay, with nobody arrested yet, the mayor says he is putting every available resource into this investigation. Lindsay?
Zoreen, thank you. The most significant case in decades on homelessness goes before the 9 justices of the Supreme Court tomorrow. At issue whether cities and towns can fine or arrest people for sleeping outside when space in shelters is lacking. ABC's Jacqueline Lee joins us now from Los Angeles. Jacqueline, a lower court found the practice unconstitutional. What's on the line here for homeless people?
Lindsay, the Supreme Court will ultimately decide whether or not it is cruel and unusual punishment to penalize the homeless population for sleeping outside, even if they have nowhere else to go. Now, this decision will be felt all across the country, but in particular right here in California, where officials are battling homeless encampments. 50% of the unsheltered population in the nation is right here in the state, and due to the lack of affordable housing and the unaffordable cost of living, Governor Gavin Newsom says that governments need flexibility when it comes to threats to public health and safety. Lindsay.
Jacqueline, thank you. And there's still much more ahead on World News Tonight. This Sunday, an explosion and fire destroys a home in Maryland. And not a moment to lose. Good Samaritans team up to pull a driver out of a burning car. Next tonight, an investigation is underway into what caused a house explosion in Baltimore County, Maryland. The property was fully engulfed in flames by the time firefighters arrived Saturday night. Crews were on the scene for hours trying to put out hot spots. Fire officials say one man was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. And what a finish today at the London Marathon. 4 women were battling at world record pace in the last mile of the race, but Olympic champion Perez Jepchirchir of Kenya pulled away, finishing first in 2 hours, 16 minutes and 16 seconds. That's a new world record for a woman-only marathon. She's looking to defend her gold medal this summer in Paris. When we come back, country star Morgan Wallen breaks his silence after being charged with throwing a chair off the roof of a 6-story building. To the index now, in a heart-stopping rescue outside of Minneapolis, where Good Samaritans risked their own lives to save a man trapped in his car. Take a look at this. Fire engulfing the vehicle, everyone desperately trying to open the door to get him out in time. They were eventually able to break a window and drag him to safety. The driver only suffered minor injuries. Country music star Morgan Wallen is breaking his silence on his arrest for allegedly throwing a chair from the roof of a 6-story bar in Nashville. In a post on X, Wallen wrote, "I'm not proud of my behavior and I accept responsibility." An arrest affidavit says the chair landed just 3 feet from officers. Wallen faces charges that include 3 felony counts of reckless endangerment. When we come back, as we celebrate Earth Day, an army of volunteers embarks on an urgent mission. Finally tonight, as we prepare to celebrate Earth Day, we meet some of the volunteers helping to clean up our planet.
10 million miles of American shoreline, a precious and endangered resource. Waterways in the U.S. are littered with billions of pieces of litter. Thanks to these Loyola University student volunteers, this Great Lakes shore is getting a pick-me-up this weekend.
A lot of cigarette butts. Beer bottles, some plastic, a lot of plastic.
Enter the Alliance for the Great Lakes, a 30-year-old organization that trains and organizes volunteers to help clean up that litter with their Adopt a Beach program. The Alliance hosts 9,000 volunteers who fan out to do 900 cleanups a year along the Great Lakes, banding together to pick up the litter and record the data.
This is the kind of data that no individual scientist could get, but because this is hundreds of thousands of volunteers, we have a lot of information to learn from.
One thing they've learned is the prevalence of plastics.
86% of the pieces of litter removed by volunteers are composed either partially or fully of plastics.
Unlike America's roadways, our shores are not regularly cleared of litter. They're also harder to access, so their cleanup relies on volunteers like these students. Last year, Great Lakes volunteers collected more than 500,000 pieces of litter, and the group expects to collect at least as much again this year.
Well, I think being in these cleanups and around these volunteers definitely gives me a sense of hope. Being around that energy gives me hope that there is hope for solutions to this issue.
Some much needed solutions, and we are all grateful for the hope. And this week, we're kicking off a new series for Earth Week called The Power of Us, People, Climate, and Our Future. We'll have special reporting on all of our ABC News platforms on the climate challenges we face and empowering stories about possible solutions. We'll look at efforts to provide Native Americans with solar energy and how the cruise ship industry is working to restore the marine ecosystem. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Lindsay Davis. David Muir right back here tomorrow. From all of us here, have a great night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir America's most watched newscast.